Hello. For math today, I know yesterday was very tricky, okay? So don't worry too much about yesterday. That was just a day to really get you thinking through division before you know the tricks. So today I am going to teach you the division zero tricks that I think you'll see once we get going. They're the same as multiplication, just a little bit reversed. And then Monday I will start teaching you long division. Okay. So our zero tricks, basically, it's going to work the same as multiplication. So make sure your whiteboard's out and ready. And we're going to start with a very simple division fact. 8 divided by 2. I think we all know that fact. If you don't, you need to keep working on your math facts. But the fact family that belongs is 2, 4, and 8, right? 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. We know that answer. All right, so then what would happen if instead of 8 divided by 2, I had 80 divided by 2? Well, if I cover up that 0 and just have 8 divided by 2, is that an easier problem to address? Yes, it is. Just like in multiplication, we would cover them up. So 8 divided by 2, we already see up here that it's a 4, right? So that's a 4. Now, whatever I covered up, just like multiplication, I have to add it. So I covered up just 1 0, right? So I add 1 0 to my answer. Now let's see if that even makes sense. If I have 80 and I divide it into 2 even groups, would I have 40 in each group? Is 40 times 2 80? Yep, it sure is, okay? So if you ever need to check your work, you can say, all right, well, let's see. 40 times 2, if I cover my 0, 4 times 2 is 8. Add the 0 I covered. And that's a good way to check if you did it right. Okay? But let's take it another step further. What if this is 800 divided by 2? All right, well, I'm going to cover up both of those zeros because 8 divided by 2 is an easier problem for me. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And I covered up 2 zeros. And I could check this problem the same as the one above. I could say 400 times 2, is that 800? And I would find out, yes, it is. Okay? Let's take it one step further. If I have 8,000, dividing it by 2. Well, I'm going to cover up those 3 zeros to make this easier. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And I add 1, 2, 3 zeros that I covered up. And then we know we can count over 1, 2, 3 places for my comma. All right, so there's our first example, and you will find that the pattern stays the same, just like in multiplication. So go ahead, erase your boards. Let's try another one together using different numbers. All right, this time we're going to start with 9 divided by 3. And then we're going to do 90 divided by 3. And then we'll do 9,000 divided by 3. All right, so let's start at the top. 9 divided by 3. If you don't know this, you need to work on your math facts. But our answer is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So we can use that math fact to help us solve the rest. All right, 90 divided by 3. Well, if I cover up that 0, it's going to make this problem easier for me to solve. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then I have 1 0 I covered up that I have to tack on to the end. Just like before, if I wanted to check my work, I can say, all right, well, if this is true, 30 times 3 has to be 90. So if I covered my 0, 3 times 3 is 9. Add my 0 on. Okay, that's a good way to check your work. All right, and finally, we have 9,000 divided by 3. So I'll cover up all those zeros. 9 divided by 3 is a math fact I know. The answer is 3. And then I covered up 3 zeros. Count over 3 spaces for my comma. All right. So let's try some now that are a little bit different looking. Go ahead, erase your board. All right. Sometimes, instead of having a single number, you're going to have double digits. Let me show you. I have 15 divided by 3. Okay, we still know this math fact. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 5 times 3 is 15. So pay close attention because this is a little different. All right, if I add a 0 on to make it 150 divided by 3, I'm only still going to cover up the 0, right? All right, so 15 divided by 3. It's okay to have a 2-digit here. We know this math fact. 15 divided by 3 is what? 5. We have it up here. And I only covered up 1 0. Add my 0 back. So 150 split up into 3 groups is 50, which makes sense. If I skip counted by 50s, I'd have 50, 100, then 150. 3 groups of 50. Now let's try it even larger. 1,500 divided by 3. All right, we know our first step. We need to cover up the zeros to make our problem simpler. So 15 divided by 3, I can do that. That's 5. And I covered up 2 zeros. So my answer would be 500. All right, let's try it one step bigger. 15,000 divided by 3. I'll let you get a little bit of a head start. Hopefully you're covering up those zeros. All right, we cover up our zeros. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And then 1, 2, 3 zeros. Count over 3 spaces for my comma. All right, so that's the basics of it, okay? You can cover up the zeros until you find yourself an equation that you're able to do, like 15 divided by 3. As long as you add the zeros back on at the end, you still get an accurate answer. All right, go ahead and erase your boards. I'm going to show you one more that might be a little tricky. Okay, so go ahead and write 10 divided by 2. So far, it probably doesn't look very tricky. Okay. 10 divided by 2. Do I need to cover up my 0 and solve this? No. Okay, we do not. If I have 10 things divided by 2, I get a 5. That's a math fact we know. 5 times 2 is 10. Now look what happens if I add another 0. Okay, this is where you're going to be confused if you don't pay attention. So, alert, alert, pay attention. If I cover up all of my zeros on this problem, I have 1 divided by 2. Well, that's pretty confusing, right? We don't know how to do that. So instead of covering up both zeros, what if I only covered up 1 0? Can I do 10 divided by 2? Yeah, well, we can do 10 divided by 2. So sometimes you don't want to cover both of your zeros. If you cover them all up and realize, I can't do that math fact, 1 divided by 2 isn't possible, you're going to need to add in a bit more value. Okay, now we have 10 divided by 2, which is 5. Okay, now this is where you have to be very careful. How many zeros did I cover? I only covered 1, right? But you've got to be very careful here. I bet a lot of people are going to make a mistake and add 2 zeros instead of the 1 they covered, right? I didn't cover that first one, so I can't add it at the end. Let's try it again. So this time let's do 1,000 divided by 2. 1,000 divided by 2. Well, we're going to find the same thing. If I cover all of my zeros, my problem says 1 divided by 2, and I don't know how to do that. So then just cover 2 and see if you can do it with 10. 10 divided by 2, we know that. That's 5. And now very carefully, count how many zeros you underlined. It might actually help you to actually underline them, okay? So you keep the 10 out of there. We added 2 zeros. All right, let's do one more just like that. 10,000 divided by 2. Okay? We know if we cover all 4 of the zeros, we can't do 1 divided by 2. So I'm just going to cover these 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay, I only covered these 3 zeros. So I only add these 3 zeros. Then I count over 3 spots for my comma. So if you have trouble on a problem and you're wondering, well, how can I divide 1 into anything? Okay, you might need to go to the next place over. All right, the final thing we're going to practice, one more thing, erase your boards. All right, on your practice, you're going to have a few problems that look like this. All right, all that is an equation, okay? So whatever is the value on this side, we have to make sure this side has the same value, okay? So we just need to solve the equation. So you're going to apply the same things I just taught you, so we can cover up that 0, right? 16 divided by 4, is that a problem that we can do better than 160 divided by 4? 16 divided by 4 would be 4. And I did underline 1, 0, so I have to add that on. So I know the answer, or the x that would go here, would be 40. Okay, so your practice, you are going to do a lot of the drills that we did at the beginning, where you're just covering the zeros and finding your patterns. And then you will have a few problems like this to show what you've learned. And the second sheet in your assignment is simple word problems, okay? So you can draw pictures like we learned yesterday, solve them any way you would like. Do your best work, though, and check your work, okay? All right, thanks for joining in. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. I'll see you soon.